So, let's say you have submitted your abstract to a conference, and you have had a poster accepted at that conference. Now what? Well, you have to actually make your poster. So, you have to know first what goes on a poster. In other words, what information is included on a poster. Second, you have to know how to design your poster so that it communicates effectively. Or let's say that it communicates in the best possible way, the most information. But to know those two things, what goes on your poster and how to design your poster so that it communicates effectively, you have to know how people read posters. Good question. Like I said before, a poster is not a report and a poster is not a presentation. Keep that in mind when we're talking about how people read posters. So here is a standard poster session, and you can see that there are lots of people here. Lots of people milling around. You've got to have something that is going to make your poster attract attention. What is going to bring people to stop and talk to you instead of going to any of the other posters here? That's a good question.
You know, it has to be appealing to the eyes because you're scanning so many posters at one time. You go through these large halls and you go through this long aisle and they're all right next to each other. There's so many people. Something has got to draw you in. So it has to be appealing to the eye. It has to be visually appealing. There are all kinds of people in that audience. People that may have absolutely no tie to your field or to your study or your interests. And so you have to convey that critical information quickly because they have to make that decision of whether they're going to stop at your poster or somebody else's poster, which posters they want to spend a lot of time on. You've got one page and you've got about 10 seconds to get people's attention. Everything on there has to be there for a purpose. It's prime real estate all over, and you've got to make sure you get all the elements and make them clear and get that message out fast. And it really depends on how prominent those important elements are. Do I see anything that stands out that looks interesting to me? Again, like the title, images, really clean images, clear images that convey important information quickly will draw me in.
A few years ago, I was talking to a very well-respected researcher who had tons of publications. He was very well-respected in his field, and his CV was pages and pages long of all the things he had published. And he had been doing this for many years. And he came to Houston to give a poster presentation at a conference. And I asked to see his poster because I told him I was really interested in posters and how people design them, etc. So he said, sure. He reaches into his bag and he pulls out 10 pages, and they are single-spaced, looks remarkably like a journal article, and it has headings like introduction, methodology, conclusion, discussion, those things. And I looked through it and I said, oh, this is interesting. I didn't really know much about the topic. It was in the medical field. But he was going to be presenting this. I thought it was interesting. And I said, okay, so this is the paper that's going to be published in the conference proceedings. Well, where is the poster? And he looked confused and just said, that's it. And then I was confused, and I finally realized that what he was going to do was that when he got to the poster session, he was going to tape up or tack up all of his pages, and he was going to have all of them up there, and that was going to be his poster. Lots of text, some figures. What do you think? Good poster? I don't know about you, but it takes me a while to read a journal article. It takes me a long time to read a journal article. It would probably take me about an hour if I were to really sit down and read a journal article like this. And this one's only 9 pages. It takes me several minutes to read each page. And if I'm really going to understand it, I need to go back and read it again. So it would be the entire poster session before I finish with this one article. But let's be brutally honest here. Can we do that? We just be mean. Frankly, if I was at a poster session and this were a poster, I would just walk right on by. Now, in general, there's something called the 10 by 10 rule. And this rule says that a person will spend about 10 seconds from 10 feet away looking at a poster before they decide to approach. So, 10 feet away, how far away is that? Well, it's pretty far. 10 feet away. Can you see what that says? I certainly can't. I can't read any of it. So, am I going to approach this poster? I'm going to spend my 10 seconds, look at it. I can read the title. Maybe I can do that. But I'm not going to approach. I'm going to go on to the next one.
Walking through a poster session, I can usually decide in about under 10 seconds whether I want to move in and ask some questions to the presenter.
We already talked about the 10 by 10 rule. Okay, so the 10 by 10 rule, 10 seconds, 10 feet away. And then when a person approaches a poster, they normally don't just walk up and start reading. Now sometimes, maybe the person who's supposed to be there standing by the poster, who created the poster, went to the bathroom. Maybe they had to go use facilities. Maybe they couldn't be there during that few minutes. Maybe they're talking to someone else. So it's possible that I could walk up and just start reading a poster. But normally, that's not the case. Normally what happens is you go up and just start talking to the person.
Well, when I come up to a poster, if the presenter is available, obviously I'll try to strike a conversation with them. But again, I tend to come up to a poster and sit back a little bit and get the big picture of poster, presenter, data, and make a decision based on poster, the presenter, whether this is going to be worthwhile time for me to come in and talk to them. And so, sometimes they're very busy and that poster will have to stand alone because there could be 10 other people at that poster and they're not going to have time to talk to me. So it's just me and the poster trying to get the information. And so I may wait around for a little while. If the poster's really good and it catches my attention, it piques my interest, I'll wait for that presenter. But if it's an okay poster and I'm not quite sure that I'm that interested, I'll move on if they don't seem to have time.
So whatever the question is, that's normally how people approach posters. They stop, they read a little bit, and then they start asking questions. After all, the researcher who made the poster is standing right there, looking at you, watching you read the poster. It's hard to ignore them because they're right there. And it's generally easier to talk to someone and look at graphics at the same time as they point things out.